Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Q, and we are through 3 weeks of VCT Pacific. And while that fight at the top may be a little surprising for some, or at least maybe like surprisingly busy, there are definitely some familiar faces. And this past week at least gave us some sort of clarity, at least when it comes to that tippy top. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, Q, you do wraparounds at Pacific too? Look, I know I missed the first 2 weeks releasing videos, but just like your boy does like to watch a little bit of every region when it comes to ALGS, I do like to do the same with VCT as well. So we're gonna be doing one of these breakdown videos for each region each and every week, which does mean we're gonna be getting one of those Americas videos released here soon, as that Americas region should have wrapped up within the last 24 hours or so of me releasing this video right here. So if that's something you're looking forward to, you do enjoy the vibe over the course of this video, including that power ranking at the end, make sure you help your boy out doing those YouTube things and hitting that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. That way we can catch y'all right back here, all right? But as far as for the Pacific region, we did kick things off with a battle of winless teams between RRQ and DetonatioN FocusMe, which does have me left just a little worried with how easily RRQ was able to kind of cruise past DetonatioN FocusMe. I mean, when we talk about 11 rounds over the course of the entirety of the match that DetonatioN FocusMe was able to put up, that's tough. I mean, even look here, plus 24, plus 23, everyone positive on the side of RRQ. I mean, let's just be frank. It was not pretty. When we talk about on Haven, only able to get 4 rounds there. And then when we talk about moving on to Pearl, looked a little bit better, but at the end of the day, 13-7, ends up being a sweep, only 11 rounds. Right now, if you're DetonatioN FocusMe, especially since you have not won a series yet, you do got to be just a little concerned there. Now, as far as wrapping up our games on Saturday in that Pacific region, we also saw PaperX and T1. T1 did get their first loss of the season, and if you thought that 11 rounds for DetonatioN FocusMe was tough, T1 only put up 9 throughout the course of their matchup as well. It actually started off being a really rough start to their day on Pearl. They only won 1 rifle round in that first half. They started off the second half winning the pistol round, and of course won that, very next econ round as well. But the next 2 rounds go in favor of PaperX, 13-3 to start things off there. And honestly, Fracture wasn't much better. It did look like T1 was starting off a little bit better. They were down 7-5 at half. Only won 1 rifle round, though, in the second half, 13-6. Really rough day here for you if you're a T1 fan, all right? Now, Global Esports was another team going into this week that has not won a series yet, while they did maybe win a game here or there. And they weren't able to change that, unfortunately. They did give ZETA Division just a little bit of a run, as you can see, 2-1. But Global Esports was one of those teams that's kind of been pretty decent throughout the course of the season thus far, even though their record really doesn't reflect things here. You got to remember, they did give ZETA Division quite a bit of a fight last week. They actually, Global Esports won against ZETA Division on that Pearl map, 9-13. The problem was you started to see a little bit of that bounce back, a little bit of that momentum swing. 12-14, you forced a little bit of overtime in that second map on Ascent for you. If you're Global Esports, it's just unfortunately you were not able to bring things home. 2 straight rounds, kind of a soul-crushing loss, if we're being quite honest, which is why they allowed, I should say, ZETA Division to run away with things on Haven there. So, I think as far as when you talk about how things are going for Global Esports, unfortunately on the standings, not looking the greatest, but I do think they've had some things that they can build on each and every week. And as far as, DetonatioN Esports and Global Esports now being 2 of the 4 teams that entered week 3 without a series win, we also had Talon Esports going up against DRX. And they would actually, unfortunately, be joining those aforementioned teams at 0-3. I mean, at the end of the day, it's DRX after all, right? I mean, DRX looking really good in that Pacific division. You do want to keep in mind, though, they actually took DRX to split, and then they didn't show up on split. They were only able to win 1 offensive rifle round. They won the pistol round that next round after that, but then DRX wraps things up very quickly. They're able to carry that momentum over as well. Talon Esports were able to give a little bit more of a fight, but DRX still winds things up 13 to 10. Don't need any overtime or anything like that. Talon still also remains winless through the first 3 weeks in the Pacific region, which would actually bring us to our early game in the early hours of the AM, at least for those of us over here in the North America, over here on East Coast time. But I was up here watching early with the community this morning, actually just a little bit ago from me recording this here, as Team Secret and Gen.G would face off on a Monday. Now, this game, I mean, I thought was going to be really hype. I think even though the sweep, I think Team Secret did show a little bit of some promises. The only problem was it was still a sweep at the end of the day. I got to be honest, Gen.G is for real, y'all. I think was getting underrated a lot, mostly to the fact of their like strength of schedule thus far in the season. But hey, I mean, you play whoever's across the stage from you on game day, right? You can't do anything about your schedule. They started things off a 13-8 win on Haven, and then on the second map went the distance, still ended up coming out with the dub. They were able to clutch it out with 3 straight rounds, actually. Team Secret very briefly had the lead late. Gen.G able to avoid overtime, though, and get the sweep. So, I mean, actually, honestly, when we talk about for the week, your boy looked pretty good. Actually brought me up to 4-1 on the week for my Pacific pickems, which is pretty tough to beat, but I'm pretty confident in my picks for this week here as well. But before we do get to my pickems here for this week, and of course, then moving into that Pacific Power 5, I'm curious, YouTube, how's your sleep? Do you happen to suffer from headaches after long hours at the grind in front of like screens and stuff like that? GamerAdvantage is the leader in impactful eyewear technology that has been proven to help you sleep better, focus more, all without distorting color or comfort, relieving headaches and eye strain, all while fitting comfortably under a headset. Stay in the game longer with GamerAdvantage. Link is always going to be down in that description below. And when you check out, don't forget code YoBoyCue, going to save you that additional 10%. All right. But let's go ahead. Let's get down to our pick'ems for the day for week number 4. When it comes to the Pacific, let me just scroll up just a little bit here. Our week number 4, actually going to start off with a banger. We're going to see PaperX versus DRX. And while PaperX has looked pretty decent so far this season, DRX just really seems to look locked in right now. I mean, let's be honest, right? So I think as far as for the first game, I don't think this is going to be a sweep. I think this definitely ends up being a 3-map banger. Now, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and start off this week with a bang. And let's go ahead and take PaperX over DRX. Now, as far as with Team Secret, in this game with RRQ, it's going to be tough, right? Because Team Secret coming off of a loss, RRQ looking to try and build a little bit of momentum here, right, after their win as well. But I do think that Team Secret is going to be looking to prove a point here in this upcoming week with that loss to Gen.G. Maybe they drop a map to RRQ, but I do think it's going to be Team Secret that ends up walking away with the dub. We may actually end up seeing us a 6-map banger next Saturday in Pacific, which would actually be really, really cool to see. You know what I mean? As far as our games to start off on Saturday, we have T1 versus Gen.G. Gen.G just, I mean, I think has been looking really good. Plus, T1 hasn't looked good enough in their games for me to see them taking down Gen.G. Again, maybe they take a map. I don't see them winning this. I do think I'm going to take Gen.G to start off on Sunday in the Pacific region. Now, when we talk about ZETA division, DetonatioN FocusMe. DetonatioN FocusMe is going to be looking for their first series win of the season when they take the stage against ZETA division. And while I do think ZETA division has shown quite a bit of inconsistencies this season, and DFM, you got to remember, they did take a map against Gen.G, right? And that map was Fracture, which Gen.G normally plays very well on, which leads me to believe that maybe it was just a fluke, but who knows? I do think I'm going to go ahead and roll with ZETA division to go ahead and close out the series here, all right? Which, of course, then in turn brings us to our Monday closeout game for the week. One of these two teams is going to get their first series win of the season between Talon Esports and Global Esports. Now, Talon has won a sole map versus Team Secret, so they looked at least decent at some parts. But I think Global Esports has really been the one team that I can think of that hasn't won very many maps, especially hasn't won series, as I had said, but has shown in some capacity shown a lot of growth throughout the course of the season, whether it was, winning a map or pushing DRX the distance or to overtime in both of their maps against the best team in the region. I actually think Global Esports might be one of those teams that has a surprising back half of the season, especially because they've already kind of essentially gone through their toughest parts of the season thus far in the year. So I think I'm going to go ahead and roll with Global Esports to take the dub over Talon. So we're looking at PaperX, Team Secret, Gen.G, ZETA Division, and Global Esports as my 5 pick'ems for week 4 in the Pacific region. So feel free to let me know what you think about my picks down in those comments below, because those things are going to be the things that really help me the most. The comments will help me with that YouTube algorithm. Well, that and you guys help me out lighten up those likes down there in that bottom right hand corner as well. Those are the 2 things that help me try and get my content in front of more people as we try and grow the channel, as we try and push for that first 250 subscribers over here as well. But let's get down to business. Let's be honest. Everyone's favorite part of these weekly wrap-ups is when we get into these Power 5 rankings. And I do gotta be honest, I feel like the Pacific region is a little bit of a cleaner region when it comes to that Power 5, but in that number 5 spot, just edging out ZETA Division, is going to be T1 Esports. And look, I know they didn't have like the best of performances against PaperX this weekend, but I do think they've shown just a bit more against similar competition. So I do think I'm going to put them in that number 5 spot there. All right. Now in the number 4 spot, I am going to go ahead and put PaperX, which is weird because they do have the 3rd best round differential in the region right now. But I think when you kind of look at the fact that they do have a new roster, they've got more room to grow, they can still move themselves up this list a bit. I just don't think they're there just quite yet, especially because the number 3 team did beat PRX, and they have to get that nod above them in the power rankings, at least for now. And that's going to be Team Secret, obviously, right? Whose only loss is to one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the region right now, and they didn't look awful in their loss in Gen.G either. So Team Secret has technically already completed the tougher part of their schedule as well. When we talk about positionings for Masters and Champions and stuff like that, at least until their final week where they play against DRX. And of course, also the final week is the Super Week as well, right, for Pacific. But we do have 2 unbeaten teams that are left in VCT right now for Pacific. So where do they line up in the power rankings? That's the real question, right? Definitely would be interested to see where you would rank them in the power rankings for yourself, just between the 2 teams. Let me know down those comments below, all right? But as far as for me, I think I'm going to have to put Gen.G in at number 2, which is in reality kind of like a 1B right now, right? But I do think when you take a look at strength of schedules thus far, you kind of got to give that nod to DRX. But of course, there is still plenty of time to play for this season, so a lot can change here. But interested to know your thoughts on the video, YouTube. Where am I right? Where am I wrong? Let me know down in those comments below. And if you made it thus far in the video, YouTube, you probably enjoyed the vibes. If you do want to keep up with more Valorant news, updates, more videos just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. I do try and cover a little bit of each region. If you haven't yet seen the EMEA wrap-up video for this past week, we actually dropped that Sunday night. I'm going to make sure I have that linked at the end of this video here. And if you're actually an ALGS fanboy, like your boy as well, we do kick off the second half of the second split this weekend. So we're going to be ramping up the videos on that side of the page here, and we'll be back on that watch party grind as well this weekend. So until we catch y'all back for that next video or that next watch party, man, do me a favor. Everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard, all right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be, you wanna be me, but you will never be as fresh as see you in.